There are a lot of false information about the coronavirus. These are the facts. People of all ages can be affected by the coronavirus. However, older people and people with pre-existing medical conditions such as asthma, diabetes, heart diseases are more vulnerable to the disease. It is not for old people alone. Gargling salt and warm water or chewing garlic and ginger cannot prevent the virus. Drinking alcohol, hot lemon, palm oil or chloroquine will not kill the virus. The virus cannot be transmitted through mosquito bites. Antibiotics do not work against the viruses. Antibiotics work only against bacteria. Boiling pineapple peels, lime and ginger does not kill the virus. Putting raw onions in rooms will not ward off the virus. Using or spraying Dettol, special oils and water all over your body cannot kill the virus. There is no scientific evidence that cooking, drinking or eating any of these
Daybreak Africa is your one-stop top-notch breakfast show that brings you all the interesting stories happening in and around Africa.
Because we have all the morning essentials,
including the latest news, sports, weather, and events. And of course, the people.
Daybreak Africa on Television Nigerian.
Weekdays, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m.
Back and say challenges, the biggest challenge is money, but it will never be enough. So make the best use of whatever you have. And for me, as long as I have people that I can work with, and for the Diaspora Commission, I have an amazing pool of young men and women that are determined to work. You know, their zeal actually amazes me. So it's about people having the commitment, sharing that vision to say, you know what, I will play my part in making it happen. So we won't be bogged down by challenges. We hope we resolve those challenges, but 1 year, we don't even have an office. The office we got, given to us by NCC, we're actually driven away by the Honorable Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Mr. Issa Pantami. Within 2 days, he drove us out with guns. And what happened? The place was given to us by NCC. You know, we all help each other. NCC, as an agency of government, said there's a place you can to settle in. And just as we settled in, I was in Ethiopia when I got a call, and I thought it was a joke. I came back from Ethiopia on Thursday. This happened on Tuesday. By Friday, when I went to the office, guns, armed men, Nigerian security certificates are taking over the place. I thought it was a joke. But here is the thing. I'm a government employee. So is he. It's a government business. Do I go on the streets on that and start fighting? I decided no, that I would take the higher moral ground. So I decided that I'm not going to raise any dust about it. I've written to the appropriate authorities, I've complained officially, but we let it be. He wants the place, let him take it. And that place is still there, a whole floor is still vacant. As I speak with you, all our items are locked up. I don't have computer, I don't have printers. Everything has been locked up. So after COVID-19, we're hoping we can get to space, move in. And these things locked up were personal printers, personal laptops of our very dedicated staff. Because you know, when you're just starting, a lot of things are not there. So when you talk about challenges, there are many, but even at that, we're working. In the midst of no office, we're involved in evacuation wave, we've been working. So I don't let challenges hold me down, but I know that posterity will judge. So diaspora is huge, and we're not going to let
What a way to start the new week. A whole lot of issues actually happened or transpired over the weekend. But let's take a look at that just played by.
Honorable Abike
Dabiri.
Yeah, she's talking about. Actually, I don't understand. They said the president was coming.
Yeah.
So that was why since February they had to make them exit the building.
And I was given to them by
by the NCC. So the president is still coming.
The president
yes, and then her body is under Foreign Affairs.
True.
And she was given an office space by NCC. So that means there probably must have been problems before even what we are even understanding right now, because Foreign Affairs, communications, what's the tally?
Ordinarily, like, I want us to look at it from what you just pointed out. Her office is under Foreign Affairs. So wouldn't it be better if we had seen an office space given to her by the Ministry of Foreign
Affairs instead of NCC coming to give her an office space? And then to what extent should they actually have thrown her herself out until this moment? She hasn't even been able to retrieve whatever it is, like she rightfully said, computer. That's in the place. At least, even if you're not going to give that place out to her again, can she get her gadgets?
But we're having two stories now, so which do we believe? Because the communication minister is saying he never asked any security operative
to take her out. Probably, I wish when that was actually happening, there were picture footages or video footages. Then we'll get to understand, okay, this is actually what has happened since February, and now there's COVID-19, and this is coming out now.
Okay, the story, it's already on the burner, and then we'll get to follow it and see how it ends. Wow.
All right.
It's your one-stop daybreak show on television Nigeria. We call this Daybreak Africa, and we are glad to know that you are watching us. My name is Elvis Oga.
And my name is Mercy Joe. Before I forget, happy celebration to our brothers and sisters.
And I'd like to say Barakah Salah to all our Muslim brothers and sisters as well. Like I said, a whole lot happened over the weekend.
Yes.
And then the Salah celebration was one of it.
Celebration. That was the Eid al-Fitr, the festival of breaking of the fast.
The month of Ramadan.
The month of Ramadan.
End.
Yeah, we saw our Muslim brothers and sisters putting on their new beautiful attires yesterday. Amid COVID-19, people still found a way to celebrate in their homes.
True.
Even the president celebrated with his family in the villa.
Yeah, the news was all over the place. And the president actually seized the opportunity to address the nation, just like we've known to be the practice or custom that surrounds celebration in the country, be it for the Christian brothers or the Muslim brothers. And then the president, looking at the situation on ground, to advise the Muslim brothers to look at it as a different or a peculiar way of celebrating life, for a moment of reflection instead of the normal celebration, because of some level of restraint that the COVID-19 has actually imposed on this particular celebration.
Asking Nigerians to wake up to the reality, and also asking farmers to, in a way, take advantage of the rainy season and do more plantations, because importation is no longer happening in Nigeria for now. So we have to look inward now, at least to see a long way to promoting farming in Nigeria, unlike before.
If you remember, when the lockdown was totally enforced, or was when we were still having the total lockdown, people were complaining of the food security if the lockdown tend to exceed a certain period of time. But with the gradual ease of lockdown and even the exception of farmers from the lockdown or one of these things, is actually a good one. And the president actually said the lockdown will not last more than necessary in his speech as well. So it's more like a relief to Nigerians for that speech to have come from the president. Yeah,
and Nigeria, however, recorded 313 new cases yesterday, bringing a total to 7,389 total cases and over 200 deaths.
I saw that and I was a bit worried, and Lagos still recording those large number of figures. And then we normally used to have just slightly above 10 from FCT, but just that
36.
We saw a very big one from FCT, and it calls for worry, and it's a serious cause for concern as well.
Yeah, and Lagos has been recording more than 100 cases this past few days. Now, still the same case, 100 plus, only from Lagos alone. And then the FCT, a little worry. FCT was behind, like you said, 10. But now FCT moved up to 36. And so someone has been asking me this question: how do they get to understand that these people have are positive, are they just doing random testing of people? Is that the source, or?
And then if we look at it like that, we also have to check how many contact these presumed positive cases must have made while before they were being
contact
tested.
Tracing.
Yeah,
Okay.
we need to look at all of those things and see, else we might be dealing with something bigger than what we even think we are dealing with at the moment.
Every other day, the reason why NCDC brings out these results figures for us to see is for us to understand the severity of COVID-19 in the nation. People think of it as not real, but COVID-19 is real, and in our country, if a big elite as Abakari could have passed away due to COVID-19, why should you think COVID-19 is not real? It's in the country, it's existing, it's happening. But we're having recovery, so no problem.
That's just the relief there, because we're having recoveries and the death are not as that high, even though a single life matters, and we'll also we're always concerned for the life that is being lost. That's why we make sure that we preach the guidelines from this platform. We need to see that Nigerians adhere strictly to the guidelines so that we combat this virus.
We have Susan Achi with us this morning for the news.
Good morning, Mercy.
Good morning, Susan.
Good morning,
Susan.
How was your weekend?
It was fine.
It was fine.
I don't need to ask you how yours was.
It was quite refreshing.
Like I said, I don't need to ask, I can see. All right, Susan, what do you have for us today? Can you take us there?
Yes, of course. We are going straight to the news desk to get more details of the news. Good morning and welcome to AM News. I am Susan Achin. Coronavirus cases in Nigeria increased further on Sunday, with 313 cases reported by the country, despite efforts by the authorities to flatten the curve of the pandemic. The new cases confirmed by specialist agency the Nigeria Center for Disease Control on Twitter took the country's total infections to 7,389, out of which 2,263 have been discharged, with 226 losing their lives. Data from the NCDC showed that the cases were spread across 12 states, and the FCT with Lagos accounted for the highest number of infections for the day, with 148 cases. President Muhammadu Buhari and his family members on Sunday morning observed the Eid al-Fitr prayers at the presidential villa Abuja. The prayers were held at the villa with members of the first family, including the First Lady Aisha, their son Yusuf, and other children in attendance. President Buhari observed the Eid prayers at home this year, as against the usual tradition of going to prayer grounds, in line with the Presidential Task Force directive against mass gatherings to curtail the spread of COVID-19. But contrary to that, some Muslim faithful in Nigeria went ahead to participate in congregational prayers to mark this year's Eid al-Fitr. In Nasarawa, scores of Muslim faithful stormed a praying ground for congregational Eid prayer, despite restriction in such gatherings by the head of Jama'atu Nasril Islam and Sultan of Sokoto Sa'ad Abubakar III. Similarly, hundreds of worshippers thronged the famous Usman and Fodio Jumat Mosque to perform the 2 Rakat Eid al-Fitr prayers led by the chief imam, Ustaz Mukhtar Jibia. The prayers held on the premises of the mosque on Sunday in the Katsina state capital. And our Lagos State has discharged another 31 COVID-19 patients after successful treatment. The state's Ministry of Health confirmed this in a tweet via its official handle on Sunday. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu also confirmed the development in a brief social media statement on Sunday. Meanwhile, the management of the Federal Medical Center, Idi Aba Abeokuta, has confirmed 3 fresh cases of the novel coronavirus, just as it recorded 1 death. According to a press statement by the head of the Information Center, Shagun Orisajo, the 3 patients were all adult males. The People's Democratic Party (PDP) has insisted that its candidate Musa Wada won the November 2019 Kogi State governorship election. The party, in a statement signed on Sunday by its National Publicity Secretary, Kola Olubundion, vowed to reclaim its victory at the appeal court. This was in reaction to the Kogi governorship election petition tribunal sitting, which on Saturday affirmed the election of incumbent Governor Yahaya Bello. The PDP described the judgment as an alarming miscarriage of justice, claiming that the candidate Wada laid incontrovertible proofs of electoral manipulations, as affirmed by Justice Ohimia Obiegele in his dissenting judgment. And on Crime Watch, a middle-aged man named Femi Onifade has been arrested in Akure, the Ondo State capital, by officials of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps (NSCDC) for allegedly defiling his 2 daughters. The commandant of the NSCDC in Ondo State, Mr. Philip Ayuba, made the announcement in a statement signed by the command's public relations officer, Mr. Olufemi Omole. He said that Onifade, 48, a welder, defiled his 2 daughters aged 6 and 9 years. Ayuba explained that the command's anti-human trafficking and illegal migration unit swung into action to arrest Onifade based on intelligence. And on the entertainment scene, fans of popular Nigerian singer Cynthia Morgan on Sunday called for her comeback and opened a GoFundMe fundraising account for her. This was after the German Jews crooner disclosed in an Instagram live video with Sandra Ogbebo on Friday how her relationship with former music label Northside Entertainment ended on a sour note. She revealed how she lost her name and other royalties as a result of this, leading to her depression and financial troubles. Many of her fans were moved by her story and took to social media to campaign for her to come back using the hashtag #BringBackCynthiaMorgan. This led to a long thread of tweets about the one-time reggae dancehall artist. A GoFundMe account has also been opened to fund her comeback to the entertainment scene. Well, I hope that goes well for Cynthia Morgan. And that's it on AM News. I am Susan Achin.
It was really a very busy weekend as activities spread across different sectors in the country, even across continent. And the news across Africa will have more on that. But basically, let's take a look at what transpired in the entertainment industry. That started
Cynthia Morgan.
Before then, Burna Boy and Davido seems not to have agreed on a particular issue.
They've been going back and forth, you know.
So when Cynthia Morgan put out the tweet and people have been reacting to it, surprisingly, Cynthia Morgan disagreed with Davido a couple of years back, and Davido is coming back to help her. So
to support her, to make her come back.
It's always good to be on the logical side because you can never know where your help will come from.
But the lesson from that story is just for artists to study their contract review very well.
Yes, she said she didn't read the contract before actually signing it.
I mean, she disappeared into thin air, and people have been asking, where is Cynthia Morgan? She was one uniquely talented female artist. You know how there are not so many females in this industry, and then the kind of music. She actually did dance hall, you know, and reggae. So it's very important that Nigerians.
We got to listen to Jude's side of the story yesterday, where he was saying that nothing like that actually happened, but we all know how level and artist
they always have issues.
None of them will ever own up to what's actually happening. So we don't expect anything.
We really do not know.
I picked through your jotting, and I saw that you were jotting down some stories you want us to react to.
Defiling the man who defiled his 2 daughters. In the absence of the mother?
That just went down the smile that was coming up. I mean, it's very unfortunate that these things are happening
in the society.
In our society.
It just reminds us every other day that these things actually happen in the society. Real. Not one child, the 2 daughters.
And I'm wondering, even if he wanted to do that, why he had to be, such little children. That is child abuse.
And he's a welder.
Yes, so it's unfortunate how children, they're already helpless, so when that happens, you're wondering what is the fate of these kids, in the near future, the psychological and mental effects subsequently.
I'm just happy he was actually arrested.
Yes, and we should look into more issues like this because, like we were saying earlier on, the COVID-19 has taken so much of attention and so many other things are neglected. So it's good that these things come up so we can know that these are happening and then we can also pay attention.
And even amid the lockdown, things like this will happen more because,
because people are, stuck in one place.
People tend to look at things like this from a very shallow surface, but it's deeper than what we normally think.
Very deep.
Most times when I hear stories like this, I ask if the perpetrator is actually okay. So I think they need to do some mental check.
Of course, very, very, very true. They need to really verify because it doesn't sound
okay at all. It doesn't sound normal.
It's not normal.
Interestingly, from Kogi State, still back and forth about the elections that was held times back.
Most of the time, the incumbent person always has a way of coming back. They always have more advantage as against those that are still trying to. Okay, they said there have been malpractices, miscarriage of election justice and all that. And you're saying they're going to the appeal court. So let's see how that goes. After that, if Yahya Bello still comes back, then there will be no.
I think that's another win for Nigeria. Nigerian judiciary and democracy as well, for people who feel aggrieved to go through the application.
And it's good that they have this chance.
It's
a good one, actually.
It's a good one. Lagos discharging 31 cases of
COVID-19.
Yeah,
you know, it's interesting. Lagos will discharge today, and then tomorrow you hear that they've recorded
100
cases.
Even
more cases. So it's
like
down,
positive and negative playing along the same
alongside. But anyway, 31 is a great number.
True.
And it's good. And like you were saying earlier, the issue of finding out how exactly that these cases are coming up. Are they being tested? What is going on? How do we know that new cases are being recorded?
Are they going to the street to just test people? Yes. And then how exactly?
How exactly?
Probably they let us understand more. Thank you, Susan.
Thank you very much, Elvis. It's always a great time, of course. And now we move across Africa to get some more news. Don't go away.
Africa. And this is News Across Africa on Daybreak Africa. Now, President of Burkina Faso, Roch Marc Christian Kabore, has condemned the suspicious death of 12 people in police custody in east of the country mid-May. As investigation into the suspicious death of the 12 in a police station continues, the Burkina Faso president has said the incident was unacceptable. He promised prompt decision at the end of the investigation. According to relatives and NGOs, the 12 people who were detained on suspicion of terrorism were in fact civilians caught in a swoop and were summarily executed by firing. Activists have denounced the extrajudicial execution, noting that the 12 people killed were all ethnic Fulani. President Kabore urged people to avoid stigmatization. Burkina Faso security forces and self-defense groups have in the last 3 years been regularly accused of blunders or abuses, particularly against Fulani populations. Some Fulanis have joined jihadist groups that have killed nearly 900 people since 2015 in Burkina Faso. It is also common to hear Burkinabes equating jihadists with Fulanis. The number of people infected with the coronavirus is reported to have dropped considerably in Tanzania. It's a delightful news that the Tanzanian President John Magufuli shared on Sunday. Magufuli stated that one of his sons had contracted the coronavirus but had now recovered. As I speak here now, one of my own sons has just recovered from coronavirus disease, and this is after the quarantine and used steam inhalation, took lemons and ginger, he said. John Magufuli thanked his people for their prayers, citing the names of cities where the number of cured patients had increased. While suggesting that the pandemic was nearing an end, he encouraged Tanzanians to turn to God. Magufuli's government has been criticized for its lack of transparency regarding COVID-19 figures. The last official update was on April 29. It reported 480 cases, including 16 deaths. The South African government is plans to reopen schools. Learning centers are to be opened when the country eases its lockdown from level 4 to level 3 of a 5-level system at the end of May. The country's major teachers' union described the plan as an irrational and arbitrarily one-size-fits-all approach, according to local media. The National Association of Parents in School Governors has expressed concerns that reopening schools will put the lives of pupils, teachers and their families in danger of infection. They accuse the education minister of not considering geographic, economic and historical differences. The association has filed a court application to oppose the lockdown regulation. South Africa has over 20,000 confirmed COVID-19 cases after over 540,000 tests. A Tanzanian opposition figure and leader of the Alliance for Change and Transparency has called on the government to publish updated infection figures of the novel coronavirus. This comes as President John Magufuli announces that university and sports events will resume in June, citing good development on the country's handling of the pandemic. But Zito Kabwe insists that any decision should be properly anchored. The decision whether to open schools or not should be guided by evidence, by scientific evidence, and we don't have that scientific evidence. So I'm very worried that President Magufuli is so in a hurry to bring the situation back to normal, regardless of the cost that those decisions might cause to Tanzanians. He criticized the lack of data, which the government stopped releasing since late April after Magufuli cast doubt on the credibility of laboratory equipment and questioned official data on the epidemic. The last stats provided were 509 cases, 21 deaths, and 183 recoveries. Top officials at the laboratory were suspended after Magufuli said he had secret tests performed in which a pawpaw and a goat tested positive. Thousands of Ugandans have been displaced from their homes after heavy rains hit the East African country. Reports say the overflow of 2 rivers in western Uganda exacerbated the situation, causing buildings to submerge. A major hospital in western Kesi had partly been submerged, according to the Red Cross. Betty Mbambu, flood victim, spoke to the media where she said, "I had just bought a plot The flood came and washed away my property, cupboards, mattresses. Right now, we are trying to see what other things of ours we can dig out. We woke up and business and the property were destroyed. Right now, we are trying to find the remaining properties that could have been buried in our house. The rain also led to drainage. The rains also led to damage of infrastructure, including roads, bridges, and several farms were washed away. In a related development in East Africa, floods had killed 65 people in Rwanda on Thursday and nearly 200 in Kenya last month. Botswana has begun to progressively lift containment measures. Since Saturday, the Botswana people have begun to gradually resume activities. The city, which was closed for 48 days, is coming back to life. For many citizens, it is necessary to show resilience because this period of inactivity has been hard. With the end of confinement, the government has allowed the reopening of businesses and schools, as well as the resumption of public worship. Muslims who were unable to pray during Ramadan will be able to go to the mosque for Eid prayers, while respecting government health regulations. The government of Botswana has set aside to help absorb the economic impact that had to suspend their activities. The country, which has not been severely affected by the pandemic, has so far recorded 29 cases of COVID-19 and 1 death. And that is the much you have for you on News Across Africa. Daybreak Africa continues shortly with Mercy and Elvis.
No comba. Yeah, Elvis.
Welcome back from News Across Africa. We now take you to our newspaper review segment where we have Victor Tehemba, who is always joining us to analyze critical issues on the front burners of national dailies. Good morning, Victor.
Good morning, Elvis. Good morning, Mercy.
Good morning.
It's good to have you back.
I know. You guys missed me.
Yeah, we did.
You have to. You missed me, eh?
Okay, so let's
take a look at the Guardian newspaper this morning. The headline here: Panic as Buhari probes Abba Kyari's office. Others. Below that, presidency aides silent amid intrigues. Another headline here: President OK's funding of COVID-19 research. Others. Medical directors guide lament Catholic Secretariat task federal government on local cure. How media should report pandemic. So how should media report pandemic?
Well, maybe when they basically get a copy of the Guardian, they're going to find out the recommendation of how the media is supposed to report COVID-19.
That's on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper in case you want to read it.
And then as per the president trying to probe the office of Abba Kyari or whatever, there are actually contentions that he's not exactly the president, because we don't really think or know if the president would give such an order to probe, because probing the SGF office is as much as probing the president's office. Not like I'm saying that the same thing, but that office was basically created to serve the president. And so it's just like the line between the president and other people coming into the president. So I don't know where that can. Then some people are looking like maybe it's the new chief of staff that is going ahead with trying to probe the activities of the past SGF or whatever. But we don't know what the probe is for exactly, whether it's for financial offenses or for other kind
projects,
of, all of those things. So, but then people who want to really find out can get the Guardian newspaper of today and then get more details from it.
Yes, that's also on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper.
Okay, let's take a look at the Nation newspaper. We have some headlines. This is in Ibadan. Confirmed now, that's 143 as government relaxes curfew. That could be found on page 6. Then virus, 313 new cases raised tally to 7,839. Lagos discharges 31. The banner headline we have here is talking about the Salah, Eid prayers at home in southwest states, Kwara. Muslims turned out in Kano, Borno, others, how it was celebrated in Saudi Arabia. And then below the picture story, impact of COVID-19 frightening, says Buhari. President, no money to import food.
No money to import food.
Well, by the way, these borders are closed.
Yes.
But so I don't know where the food are
Food is supposed to be coming from.
because already there's really been a ban on the importation of food long before COVID-19 or whatever.
Yeah.
And then as for the fact that Muslims in the southwest celebrated at home and Muslims in the other parts of the north actually came out en masse, and then we could saw pictures that a lot of people came out, even in Kano, these Eid prayers that were done in public. You'll find that the only area that they observe any sort of less than social distancing was where the emir, the governor, and other dignitaries stayed. But beyond that, every other person will just come together like what you call sardine, if you may. Basically, so it's something that people would have. And then when you look at the Saudi Arabia, for example, they didn't do much of coming out to pray in public and whatever. And when you look, for example, Mauritania is like the most Islamic country in the world, and yet they also observe this sort of social distancing. By the way, they are free from COVID-19. Their lockdown measures and everything happened, but then they are not still taking chances. They didn't really allow a lot of people come out to listen to pray in public, in gatherings and all of that. So I don't know. It was just unfortunate that we had to see those things coming out from some states. Yeah.
Despite what we see that is going on. Well, let's move to the Punch newspaper. Office invasion. Minister Dabiri Erewa fight dirty on social media. Buhari's aide orders fault 1 million naira fine against UK airplane. Below the nameplate, cops chasing suspected kidnappers shoot teenager performing ablution. Beside that, US returnees accuse NCDC of abandonment, threaten showdown.
Okay, so quite interesting stories there. So we will begin from the very first that you read, office invasion. The minister. Yeah, okay, that's why you actually opened the show with.
Yes.
Yeah, it's discussed about it. And then it's just because unfortunate that two ministers coming out, not two ministers, but two high-profile government officials, one chairman of the NIDCOM and the other coming out to, sale of distance in public. The video was first published by online medium, which the minister quoted and said, "This is a fat lie." It's a fat lie.
Not even
this is a fat lie from her. And then that's a honorable chairman of NIDCOM came out to say, "Honorable minister, as an Islamic scholar, it's not good to lie." And then, but what actually caught my attention was he addressed the minister by his title of PhD. Then she laughed at the PhD. So I'm interested to know why exactly did she laugh at his PhD.
They've been giving us a lot of showdowns from COVID-19 to ministers.
And then this also two things caught my attention in this whole saga. One was the fact that this is something that has been recurring in this particular government. Government officials working for the same government who should be working in synergy sometimes coming out to disagree over some matters, and then you see, and basically this is not the first time that the woman is going to be in this confrontation or conflict with a minister. She has actually been in that sort of situation too with the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Geoffrey Onyema, and all of that. And the other one that also caught my attention that really drew my attention out was the fact that what was the purpose of creating NIDCOM? Was it planned for? Was it like what you would say it was just created to compensate somebody for their work? Because if you remember, she was the chairman, while she was in the House of Reps, she was the chairman of the Committee on Latin and Diaspora Matters. So it was from there she moved to the presidency as special advisor to the president on diaspora matters. Whatever it was, whoever were those people pushing for it, pushed that they should create a commission, Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, where she's going to head. Now, I don't think this was really thought through. I don't think it was an initiative from the president. Maybe perhaps this impression was just cajoled to really do that. It was a time of compensating a lot of people and for whatever I do. Because how do you create a commission which is going to be under a ministry, and then they don't have an office?
And it's being moved to another ministry.
I
said so, yeah?
This thing was, it was more like, you meet the president and say, create NIDCOM commission. President says, okay, you want NIDCOM commission? Okay, there you have it. Take NIDCOM commission. Go and know how you are going to sort yourself. And then she has to be responsible for going to look for office where she has to stay. And that's why she had to approach the NCC to
grant her space.
Yes, they're there. But then this whole controversy now actually started. So, and then she also said the equipment that we actually locked up in the building are equipment from her dedicated staff, their own personal
computers.
So it means they didn't even have money to set up buy equipment and whatever.
So that means there's more. What's really happening?
Yes. So exactly, why was the NIDCON created? Was there any need for it to be created, or was it just created for the sake of creating? If this government leaves, would NIDCON still be in existence?
Yeah,
because and like when you like to say at the beginning of the show, this is actually a commission that is supposed to be under the Foreign Affairs Ministry. When you see the Foreign Affairs Ministry, it's so big, you respect that office should be somewhere. The space should be somewhere where they
for a commission like hers that is very serious.
Yes, and then it will also going to improve the synergy between she and the Foreign Affairs Ministry. They can easily, beyond that, you have the National Secretariat. There are a lot of buildings and a lot of empty spaces in that National Secretariat. Could I give him some space to her? In another instance, ICPC, EFCC have seized a lot of properties.
Yes.
Some government establishments in this Abuja, the offices they occupy, the buildings they occupy as offices are actually properties that were seized by EFCC or ICPC, and you can look at Vaughan for example.
True.
Yeah, Vaughan is actually occupying the building that was seized from what they call Alex Badi at we say Zone 2. That is the office they occupy. Where you have PCNI, the PCNI before they became Northeast National Development Corporation or Commission, whatever it is. Before they became whatever, the building they were occupying as office was also seized by the EFCC in Metama there.
Yes.
So this could have also been done. That is, if there was really intent, if it was intentional from the government to create a NIDCOM commission for the Nigerians in diaspora, I think these things would have been sorted out. But it was more like the president was just cajoled and then he just created and said, okay, go and sort yourself out.
Yeah.
I think it was more of people saying, I want a position. And it's something of elevation. At the time when they created it, they say, oh, they created this specially for this lady. So it looks like the president really regards her to have created a ministry for her. And it's a lot, and this is something that's very appalling to see two high-profile government officials coming out to...
Yeah. So rather than going on social media and coming out dirty, I would have advised that she actually meets the government to give her somewhere.
Yeah. She actually said, and in the first place, that how do you create this commission without this? I have known, like in previous administration, when they were about creating. I think they were going to create another ministry on national values and ethics before it was created. An office had been created. I think they were intentional about that. They knew that we needed
intentional.
When they created the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management, it was intentional that we need this ministry for these purposes. And when it was created, she wasn't stranded. She had an office where she can actually go there every day, report. She has staff already and everything.
I was asking a question that since COVID-19 started, what has been her commission's role?
I think she has mostly been in charge of what do you call it?
The welfare
and the evacuation of Nigerians from other countries, South Africa, whatever.
So if she's facing this kind of challenge with office space and the government can see her impact in the society, why don't they actually pay attention to that?
I don't know. Because to me, if I even in the first place, I thought NIDCOM was unnecessary. Because everything she does falls under the
Foreign Affairs Ministry.
Falls under the Foreign
It's
Affairs
what
Ministry.
the Foreign Affairs Ministry would do.
She would have continued in her role as special advisor to the president on diaspora matters, and then strengthen this communication between the Foreign Affairs Ministry and the presidency to make sure that things come out. She's really passionate about it, because whatever it is, if you are going to kind of evacuate Nigerians from anywhere in the country, it's still the Foreign Affairs Ministry. If Nigerians are suffering any kind of whatever in any part of the country, people that come to their aid first is the Foreign Affairs Ministry. They go to to our high commissions or whatever you call it, embassies in those countries, meet with the ambassadors, and these ambassadors report directly to the Foreign Affairs Minister.
Okay, a whole lot of grey areas being exploited there by Victor Temba, and it's not the first time we've actually seen maybe directives being given and people don't follow them up. So there's more to this. You don't be surprised if tomorrow you hear stories like there was even directive for an office to be created for this, and we don't get to see that at the end of the day. Let's move away from that and from the Daily Sun. Chief of Staff SGF on warpath. Labour vows shutdown if he returns. And beside the nameplate, Southeast governors reject IGP community policing formation. Below the picture story, we have Save Our Ancestral Lands, Enugu Community Cries to Ogwani. That story can be found on page 28. And then we still have the story concerning what we just talked about, NCC and NIDCOM fight dirty, Pantami, Dabiri, Erewa in verbal exchanges. That story is on the page 6 of the Daily Sun newspaper.
So the sack of TCN is the reason why the Chief of Staff and the SGF are on work path according to the Sun newspaper. And then the NUC also, I think they have already taken sides here. They don't want this TCN boss to resume, and that's why they're threatening that if he eventually resumes, they are going to go on strike and all of that. But I think it's just too early for the SGF and the Chief of Staff to be having some sort of friction. I think now this has always been a problem. We just basically talk about the NCC and the NIDCOM having conflict. Those were not in the first case. I can bring that a trailer of people in government who had actually disagreed with themselves. It has been public. We even saw that the less than Chief of Staff also disagreed with even the Vice President on the Ruga issue when it was really. So you're now wondering, two things coming out from the same government. So we look like, is there no synergy? Because at the end of the day, I think this is where we basically talk about leadership. Leadership is not just getting enough people. I think one of the things that makes leaders is that you are able to get your followers to buy into your vision. You have a vision. You have an ideology that people buy into. So when anybody that follows you buys into this vision and this ideology. So people coming together, they're definitely going to work together to
foster your ideology.
Yes, to achieve this ideology, achieve this your mission. But that is, it seems like that is exactly not what
is going on. We are seeing.
So it's just like everybody just want to do things their own way, how they feel is better, and then it now looks as if we don't have a president who is not really present, and that's why you see like these kind of things go ahead, because I think or maybe he's just that kind of a gentleman that doesn't really want to react immediately or take things. But I think sometimes being gentle and taking things lightly really make things escalate instead of coming out at that very point in time, nibbling this kind of crisis so that it doesn't get to come out. So at this point, you have explained to the president that what is this fuss all about? And then let the president take a decision that both of them will get to respect. And when he takes a decision, I think both of them will now understand that this is why he took the decision, and it aligns with his vision, and it also aligns with ideology. So going forward, they now know that whatever we are going to do has to align with this man's ideology and vision, so that he can deliver the kind of promises that he made to Nigerians and all of that.
Situations or scenario like this will have been well understood if it's across different tiers of government. Coming from the same
presidency,
it's not really sitting well, which makes your analysis or analogy a very valid one.
Okay, moving to This Day newspaper. Assembly speakers hail president's executive order on financial autonomy.
Yes.
You're talking about that this morning. And above that, domestic investors dominate as stock market attracts 756 billion naira.
So I think let me just start from this first. This last story here of less domestic investment dominates our stock wherever. Yeah, it is domestic. I think there's somewhere I just saw before coming on where they were giving reasons why less than foreign investors are basically preferring to invest in Egypt than Nigeria. But it's not all bad news for Nigeria. Despite that, they're still getting investment, and then our less than domestic investors are also putting more money into the listing. And then for the fact of the financial autonomy bill, which was an executive order signed by the president, it was very fantastic. When I actually saw the order from the president, I was like really impressed that this is what we have wanted, clamoring for a very long time. But why that happened? Actually, I actually posted that on my social media.
I think I saw it.
Yeah, and then a lot of people start asking me, what does this mean? So it not really like a lot of people do not really understand
what
this
it
means.
means.
So I had to take time to explain. Maybe I'll just explain that again for the benefit of
Our viewers.
viewers outside there. So what this basically means, financial autonomy for both state legislature and the executive, the judiciary, is just that this helps to release the state legislature and the state assembly from the shackles of the governors. Because, before now, there is this thing they call, I'm always trying to remember this one. I don't know why it's so difficult, but when allocation to states
released.
So when allocation to states are released, the governors control how much goes to the legislature.
Yes.
And that's why you see that in every state, the governor seems to be like the Lord.
Yes.
So wherever imagine in Imo, where they had the other governor, PDP guy, as governor, almost every member of House of Assembly was PDP, with a few exceptions. Immediately he was removed, and then you had
APC.
Yes, APC coming. Everybody moved because they know that they cannot be in the opposition with the governor, because the governor can withhold money and all of it. So now it doesn't give this House of Assembly members a mind of their own to get to do things. That's independence they're supposed to have. They don't have it. The same thing with the judiciary. So now the president signing this means that all the statutory allocations that are going to go to the state legislature, it should go directly to them. So they get to manage this lesson finances the way they want. They will drop their own budgets.
Yeah.
So now at this point, they don't need the governors for anything. Now the governors need them.
So their independency has set in.
And that will go a long way in strengthening our democracy.
Exactly. So whereby there will be definitely the three arms of government were actually less than separated for the sole purpose of checking each other, for the just purpose of checks and balance. So, but when you have the kind of situation you have in states presently before this order was given, then you find out that it defeats the entire process of the principles of less than separation of power, because everybody now gets to follow what the governor says or what the governor wants them to do, and then that really doesn't bring. And then one other thing you have to give kudos to the president there. He has been determined about fighting corruption, although some people have grave reservations about his fight against corruption, but then he has taken steps to show that he's really interested in making sure that we curb corruption. This is not the first order that he had given that really...
Remember the local government autonomy.
Autonomy the NFI, the order given to the NFIU that handle financial matters with the local government directly. And if that also happens, it also means that the local government do not have to clutch always to go hand in glove to the governors for money and all of that. So I think that's the right to, and that's one other way to curb this corruption that we keep having all around.
Wow. Quite a lengthy session. I'm not surprised because it's just a new week and a lot actually happened over the weekend. So let's take a look at headlines we have from the Daily Times. The banner headline here says, NIDCOM, NCC trade words over office space. We were forcefully evicted from NCC building on orders of communication minister. That is coming from NIDCOM. NCC, it's a lie. NIDCOM had not started using the offices allocated to it at our building. We'll see how our Buhari tax farmers on massive food production. IRD suspends activities of Cross River Transport Agency. That story is on the page 3 of Daily Times.
Now, IRD has been taking really bold steps in trying to make sure that his state remains the only state that hasn't recorded any case of coronavirus so far, and I think he wants to just leave it at that, to maintain it at that. And suspending transport services, it also means that, okay, we are not really going to travel much, so everybody, you have to just really stay in your house. And then he has also taken steps to make sure that people don't really get to suffer the consequences of this, the tax issue that he removed taxes for some people, and all of that. And I think that is a very fantastic one. And then the government and the president also tasking farmers for food production.
Yes.
I think they need to do. And then the government have actually really done a lot for farmers. What they call it?
Anchor.
Yes. Now then the CBN also has about 50 billion naira package for farmers. Then when you talk about an ANCOS, less and borrowers program for the farmer and other great incentives, I think it's enough for these people to really be gingered.
Yes, fantabulous. Because of time, let's finally look at the Business Day newspaper. Inside, what Nigeria's precision lockdown COVID-19 strategy could look like. That's on page 26 of the Business Day newspaper. Apapa traffic to worsen as Lagos closes Marine Beach Bridge for repairs. That's also on page 26 of the Business Day newspaper.
Well, why should traffic be more serious now? I thought the lockdown was just eased, not that it was lifted. So people should be staying in their homes and not doing business.
So we shouldn't be seeing traffic.
Basically this story reminds me of what happened in Ekiti State when the governor was talking about using this lockdown period to rehabilitate roads. So if this was done when the lockdown was total, it would have been better, and it will bring more easiness to people around the whole thing.
Well, there's a unique way we do things in Nigeria. So
yes, we all know that. Thank you, Victor Temba. It's been nice having you with us for the newspaper review this morning. So because of time, we'll be going to the health desk and see what they have for us this morning.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Healthy Living. I am Lillian Ambi. Today's topic is diet. A healthful diet includes a variety of fruits and vegetables of many colors, whole grains and starches, good fats and lean protein. Eating healthfully also means avoiding foods with high amounts of added sugar and salt. Eating vegetables provides health benefits. People who eat more vegetables and fruits as part of an overall health diet are likely to have a reduced risk of some chronic diseases. Vegetable provides nutrients vital for health and maintenance of the body. Health benefits. Eating a diet rich in vegetables and fruits as part of an overall healthy diet may reduce risks for heart diseases, including heart attack and stroke. Eating a diet rich in some vegetables and fruits as part of an overall health diet may protect against certain types of cancers. Diets rich in foods containing fiber, such as some vegetables and fruits, may reduce the risk of heart diseases, obesity, and type 2 diabetes. Eating vegetables and fruits rich in potassium as part of an overall health diet may lower blood pressure and may also reduce the risk of developing kidney stone and help to decrease bone loss. Eating fruits such as vegetables that are lower in calories per cup instead of some other high-calorie food may be useful in helping to lower calorie. Here are top 10 benefits of healthful diets. 1. Weight loss. Losing weight can help to reduce the risk of chronic condition. If a person is overweight or obese, they have a high risk of developing several conditions, including heart diseases, non-insulin dependent diabetes, poor bone density, some cancers. 2. Reduce cancer risks. An unhealthy diet can lead to obesity, which may increase a person's risk of developing cancer. Weighing within a healthful range may reduce these risks. Diets rich in fruit and vegetable may help to protect cancer. Many phytochemicals found in fruits, vegetables, nuts, and legumes act as antioxidants, which protect cells from developing that can cause cancer. Some of these antioxidants include beta-carotene, lycopene, and vitamin A, C, and E. 3. Diabetes management. Eating a healthful diet can help a person with diabetes to lose weight if required, manage blood glucose level, keep blood pressure and cholesterol within target range, prevent or delay complications of diabetes. It is essential for people with diabetes to limit their intake of foods with added sugar and salt. 4th, heart health and stroke prevention. There is some evidence that vitamin E may prevent blood clots, which can lead to heart attack. The following food contain high levels of vitamin E: almond, peanuts, hazelnuts, sunflower seeds, green vegetable. Salt is added to many processed and fast food, and a person hoping to lower their blood pressure should avoid this. Number 5, the health of the next generation. Children learn most health-related behaviors from the adults around them, and parents who model healthful eating and exercise habits tend to pass.
That was Healthy Living on Good Diet. We see how people get obesity if you don't apply good diet to their meals. And then with good diet, you can actually lose quite an amount of weight.
Talking about people trying to lower their blood pressure.
Yes.
So that if you want to do that, you really need to avoid salt and all of that. So basically, our health revolves around the kind of food we eat.
Yes.
I actually define diet or food as the medicine we take for illness that will not fall.
Elvis always has to come back with something we don't understand, but we'll get to understand that later.
All right, that's the much we can take on today's edition of Daybreak Africa on Television Nigeria. We hope to be back tomorrow, same time, same station. Endeavor to join us. Until then, my name is Elvis Oga.
And my name is Messi Joe. Once again, happy celebration to our Muslim brothers and sisters. Continue your celebration and be safe while celebrating. Move about with your face mask at least.
Wow.
So we'll be leaving you with
Amazing
African package on 23 facts about South Africa.
23 amazing South Africa facts. Number 23, Mafati. The highest peak in South Africa is simply called Mafati and is on the border of Lesotho. It rises 11,424 feet and is home to some of the most scenic views in the country, as you can see from this photo. Number 22, the capitals. South Africa is the only country with 3 capitals. Pretoria, the administrative capital where the president lives, Cape Town, the legislative capital where the parliament is, and Bloemfontein, the judicial capital where the Supreme Court is. Number 21, South Africa states. South Africa is located on the southern tip of Africa, in case the name wasn't clear enough. It's made up of 9 different provinces or states: Northern Cape, Western Cape, Eastern Cape, Free State, Northwest Province, Limpopo, Gauteng, Mpumalanga, and KwaZulu-Natal. Number 20, Monarch State. Although South Africa is a democratic republic, in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, it has a king. He's considered to be the ruler of the Zulu tribe and is a direct relative of King Shaka. He doesn't mind living like a king either and has a large number of wives and children. In this photo, you can see of his ancestors. Number 19, Lesotho. Lesotho is a landlocked country completely surrounded by South Africa and has somehow remained independent. Its geographical location separates it from South Africa and makes it the only nation that lies completely over a kilometer above sea. Number 18, ethnics. South Africa is home to some of the most diverse ethnic groups and tribes from around the world. Many people here resisted British colonialism. The first official language is English, but here they speak 11 languages officially. Number 17, the Zulu. The Zulu people are the largest ethnic group of South Africa, with over 11 million people who call the province KwaZulu-Natal. Their official language is Bantu. The Zulus were some of the most aggressive British colonists who tried to settle and defeated them in the Battle of Ulundi. Number 16, the Swazi people. Although most Swazi people live in the Kingdom of Swaziland, they tend to drift into South Africa and speak a language known as Afrikaans, as well as Siswati. Siswati is their native language, and they've been living in South Africa since the 1800s. They still nearly live the same way they did 100 years ago, believe in the ancestor worship and a supreme creator. Number 15, Setswana. It's the official language in Botswana and has Bantu origins. British missionaries had the difficult task of learning this language in order to convert the natives. Number 14, geography. While certain countries may only have a few types of geographical features, South Africa has deserts, wetlands, grasslands, mountains, bush, and subtropical forests. Choose to travel here and you can see quite a few landscapes within a few hours. Number 13, South African resources. The British had good reasons to want to set up colonies in South Africa. The country is extremely rich in minerals, metals, and turns out to be a great place to make wine. 90% of the entire world's supply of platinum, and 41% of the world's gold is found here. Not to mention all the priceless gemstones that are well sought after. Sometimes the potential riches outweigh the risks, and this leads to underage workers like we see in this photo. Number 12, diamonds. Diamonds were first discovered in 1867 on the banks of the Orange River. Although diamond production may not be exactly what it used to be 100 years ago, it still remains a leader in coming up with countless diamonds each year. A diamond here measured 51 millimeters long and is known as the Nyakros diamond. A man bought it for his wife for only $2 million, and it turns out it wasn't the best investment since they got a divorce. Ouch. Number 11. White lions. This rare breed of animal is found in South Africa, and it features an all-white coat. These are not albinos, but this is a genetic trait that is passed on by the Kruger breed of lion. It turns out that this genetic trait is caused from inbreeding. Some believe that white lions can't survive well in the wild, so they've been kept in the zoo for protection. Some still exist in the wild, and many tribes believe that the creatures to be godlike. Let's hope Kendall Jones doesn't make a trip here. Number 10. The African penguin. In addition to the white lion, South Africa is home to a unique breed of penguin that is expected to be extinct in 15 years, unfortunately. Due to South Africa's relatively close distance to Antarctica, these birds have migrated and enjoyed the adaptation to beach life conditions like we see in this photo. These birds go fishing for anchovies and are known to eat squid and small crustaceans. These penguins are often targets of vicious predators of diverse South African oceans. They're often eaten by orcas, sharks, and large seals. They then have to deal with land-based predation like mongooses, genets, and caracals. Some scientists believe that their main food source of anchovies has been extensively fished, and they've had trouble finding this nutritious food source. Hopefully we'll find a way to keep these unique creatures alive. Number 9. The Palace of the Lost City. If you thought resorts in Las Vegas were good, try checking out the Palace of the Lost City. It's a rather remarkable feat of architecture and features custom-built botanical jungles. With lavish pools, lakes, and hotel rooms, it would make for an excellent place to stay on vacation. Safaris are rightfully on the list for most people who stay here. Number 8. South African bungee jumping. South Africa's unique landscapes make it perfect for bungee jumping. It's home to the highest bungee jump in the world at 710 feet. The Bluegrons Bridge is located near Port Elizabeth and is probably somewhere you don't want to go if you're afraid of heights. In this photo, you can truly see how high the bridge is, and this experience most likely won't be forgotten anytime soon. Number 7. Shipwrecks. There have been over 2,000 shipwrecks off the coast of South Africa.